So when we talk to our clients, we always ask, hey, which devices are more reliable? So it seems like Wavetronics always come out. And so a lot of DOTs are using Wavetronic devices, and a lot of county agencies are using that. So yeah, it seems like a Wavetronic device has been really working well for them.
Today on the Pulse podcast from Wavetronics, we're joined by Ben Chen, principal partner and founder of MS2. Ben is one of the nation's leading experts in traffic data with more than 30 years of experience in traffic engineering and transportation software development. He created the first version of the traffic count database system in 1997 and went on to found MS2 in 2003. Ben, thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
So 1997, you created this. What was the world of data back then for different agencies?
Yeah, it was so many years ago. I was just an engineer working for a consulting firm. So there was an RFP came out to the market, and one of the county road agency, they're looking for a database to manage traffic count data. So there was nothing like that in the market. So I responded to the RFP and then proposed $25,000, and they awarded me the contract. Nice. So I got nothing at the moment. So I just wrote everything from scratch, like using Microsoft Access, and that's the starting.
Was this pre-internet? Were you using internet at all?
I think there is some sort of internet at the moment, but it's not as advanced as right now. So everything is desktop based. So that's why the application was a Microsoft Access on a PC. So that's why in the early years, I have to travel to every agency to support them. Like if they have a trouble using the application, they will call me. I have to drive like an hour, 2 hours to the site and then debug the application. So that prompted me later to make it a web-based application to make it support much easier. So I do not need to travel to all these agencies with several hours of driving.
Yeah. So what problem were you trying to solve back then, and how has that evolved into what you're doing at MS2 today?
Yeah, I think at the moment that road agency, they had collected a lot of short count data. So they collect the count 24 hours or 48 hours, but they don't have a way to manage these hundreds of files. Because when you download a data file from a counter, you're going to just have a file. So they will save in a folder. So now they're going to have several hundred files in a folder. There's no way for them to summarize it, to report it, and do all those things. So all they have on the computer hard drive. So that's why they want a database to load the data into the database, so to compute statistics and create report, etc. So the whole goal is really have a centralized place for them to process the data and then report the data. Obviously, QC is important to them because when you collect count, you always encounter some kind of missing time intervals. So that's why they want a QC routine to detect any abnormal patterns and then prompt the engineer to look at the data. Hey, this data may not be correct, so you need to recollect the count or make some kind of adjustment, etc.
When you look back all those years, what's most surprising to you in the way that transportation data has changed since you first started?
Yeah, I think in the old days that they don't have as many continuous count stations, so most agencies that collect short count data, and also the technology is different. I don't even recall they use camera or video or radar in that time, so it's all like a rubber tube on the pavement to collect
the pneumatic
data.
tubes,
Exactly.
or just people logging
manually,
manually and watching
even,
and hope you don't blink or fall asleep or something, right? You know.
Yeah, I imagine that when they were collected turning movement count, for example, so they have to sit at the intersection for like 4 hours, and then they can't even have a bathroom break. So that's why those technicians, they have to really prepare for that counting session because you're at the intersection, you have nowhere to go, so you have to finish that before you go to anywhere.
Yeah. So certainly technology has changed dramatically. This is what we do at Wavetronics, and we're known for real-time accurate data. How does MS2 leverage the sensor data that we have at Wavetronics?
Yeah, we have been working with the Wavetronic devices for many years because we are working with hundreds of agencies. So every one of them would have some sort of a different technology, like either video or radar. So Wavetronics is probably one of the most reliable devices out there based on our clients' feedback. So when we talk to our clients, we always ask, hey, which devices are more reliable? So it seems like Wavetronics always come out. And so a lot of DOTs are using Wavetronic devices, and a lot of county agencies are using that. So yeah, it seems like a Wavetronic device has been really working well for them. So,
what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities that come from integrating data collected from advanced roadside sensors into statewide systems?
Yeah, I think the connection to the devices on the roadside, that's typically a lot of challenges out there because in the rural area, and they may not have good signals, like the cellular signal. So the modem always have weak signals. And also, if they don't have a power, then they need to use a solar panel. And then if they're in some wooded area, then the solar panel may not be working well. So that's why when we encounter these permanent station connection, typically it will come down to the battery level or the signal connection to the devices.
Do you have any particular success stories using Wavetronics data for any particular DOT?
Yeah, we have a couple. So one of the very useful application right now is the dual use of the Wavetronic devices, because most of our client agencies, they are using Wavetronics for the permanent station. So they just need to get daily download from the device to serve their planning purposes, right? For the planning purposes, they don't need a real-time access. So that's the traditional use of the Wavetronic devices. But in recent years, because there are a lot of emergency situation, a lot of weather event, so a lot of agencies want to have another use of the Wavetronic devices, because if you already have the devices installed for planning purposes, then the ITS group, they say, hey, I need to use it for real-time data feed. So that's why we have several DOTs right now using the planning's Wavetronic devices for the real-time operation. So like in North Carolina, they have a lot of Wavetronic devices. And like a couple months ago, they have some sort of a storm event. Yeah. So they can turn on those devices into a real-time data feed, so they can assist them to access the traffic pattern during an event and see where the people evacuate. So and also, yeah, that's very useful. In New Hampshire, it's the same way. So in New Hampshire, I think they have a solar eclipse event. I think last year, September sometime. So they want to know like how the people travel to the site to see the solar eclipse event. So that's why from the Wavetronic data, they can see one way coming in like before the event and one way coming out after the event. So they want to monitor that kind of special event situation, like make adjustment in real time. So hey, where should I open the road for one-way traffic, right? Even in a normal operation, the two-way traffic, they want to shut it down and make it one-way, just like a football game. When the football game's over, you open it one way out. So a lot of DOTs are doing that, using this kind of Wavetronic devices to provide the traffic pattern. So they determine when to open up to a one-way event and when to resume the normal two-way operations.
So a lot of people think of data as just a bunch of numbers, a bunch of files like you talked about before in the early days. What makes it significant when your software gets involved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the key thing from our software is really how easy it is to consume the data, because we can read the data directly from the device without any manual manipulation. And then the QC is important, because when you have data feed, obviously you have some sort of a interruption or you have missing time interval and or the volume maybe fluctuate too much. So we have this very comprehensive QC process to detect those patterns and then flag the count, say, hey, this count looks abnormal and you may not want to use it for your traditional statistics. So the QC is important. So after data pass the QC, then we also have a lot of standard reports that these agencies need to use to either report to Federal Highway, because each DOT has the obligation, has a mandate to report the statistic monthly and annually to federal government. So our software will provide that whole reporting mechanism to them. So that's why our goal is really try to cover from A to Z of the traffic monitoring, from the data generated from the device to the end result of your fulfilling your federal mandates.
So with hundreds of implementations of your software around the country, how do you help agencies not just collect the data, but use it wisely?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have been creating a lot of useful statistics and metrics to help them to assess the road conditions. And also right now, we're also working on a lot of AI initiative. Basically, a lot of agencies, they use the manual way to like review the QC flag, our system, like a mark on the count. So we want to make it easier for them. So that's why now we are working on the AI to QC the data automatically for them based on the historic pattern, right? We model a good engineer's judgment. So basically we use a machine learning to learn how a good engineer would review the data. And then now the computer will become an engineer to use that human judgment to validate the data. I think that's going to be very beneficial to reduce a lot of effort on the agency side, because you basically almost like a robot, make a robot to act like an engineer to QC the data. So I think we could have some result coming out very soon.
And that's hours and hours of work that they don't have to do, where they can be working on something else, higher priority.
Right, because in that way they can focus the effort on something that needs human judgment, and then like make this tedious labor go away. So
what do you think are the biggest opportunities for innovation in traffic data over the next 5-10 years?
Yeah,
you mentioned AI.
Right, AI is obviously one of the big thing, and then another big advance I can see is that try to estimate the traffic pattern throughout the whole network, because you never have enough money to collect count on every segment at every intersection. So now, if you have a limited budget, you're going to collect some sample locations or sample segments within the agency. How do you use that sample to come up with a reliable estimate for every single intersection, every road segment you have? Because you need that type of information to really review your roadway operation, the performance, and the traffic safety initiative, etc. So you just don't have enough money to collect data everywhere. But how do you use sample data to come up with a good estimate? So that would be a big advance.
Is it a challenge sometimes getting agencies to understand the importance of this?
I think that now it's getting to their focus right now, because there's federal mandate that require them by next year to have AADT on every road segment. So that's a federal mandate. So it's just a year away. So every agency is scrambling. Hey, I only collect 10% of the location. How do I report 100% locations with AADT? So they have the mandate to do so. And that's why everybody's looking at a solution. So that's why we're working on one of the initiatives right now to help them to meet that goal, because every agency has a goal, 100% coverage on all your public roadways.
So is this kind of crunch time for you guys? Are you really busy with this?
Yes. That's why the 100% coverage on the road network, that's one big initiative. The AI use in the traffic data domain, that's another initiative, yes.
If you had to predict what role will traffic engineers, what will their roles look like in the next decade with all the new data and technologies that are coming out?
Yeah, I think they will have a lot of data available to them. So I think that the key thing, you're going to have this large amount of data and a lot of metrics, a lot of statistics. How do you use that information? I think that probably that's another area and a lot of engineers, planners, they're going to look into, because how do you make use of that good information? If we have a lot of data, from the data we come up with good information, and then how to use that good information to come up with an objective decision for your roadway design, for your maintenance, for your traffic safety initiatives, etc.
And I would assume it's got to be user-friendly data. You have to make this easily understandable for engineers.
Right. Absolutely. That's why at MS2 we always pay attention to the user interface. Also, so we want to make sure that present the metrics in a way that engineer and planner will see the benefit of using it, and make it easier for them to use it. So yeah, UI is always a big challenge for any software company. So I think the good thing is MS2, we have a background in traffic engineering. So like myself, it's a professional traffic engineer by training, so that's why, and then I got into graduate school, I studied computers, and that's why I combined the traffic engineering and computer science together to come up with this software. So that's an advantage for us, because we understand the traffic engineering. So we are not pure computer scientists. we came from the traffic engineering background.
When you set out years ago and you started MS2, before that, had you had an idea to be an entrepreneur?
No, yeah. I was just an engineer employed in a consulting firm, so just try to make a living. So, and then when I wrote that proposal for $25K, I never imagined it will be used by like 28 state DOTs and 260 agencies throughout the country. Yeah, never thought of that. But I was not planning to have a company. It's just try to win the RFP and then develop an application. So.
But you saw an opportunity.
Yes, for that problem, yes.
Yeah, and here's what it's become all these years later.
Right, yeah.
Would you have any advice to young engineers getting into the business?
Yeah, I think just look around, and then when you see any problems, and then if you can come up with a solution for it, I think just go for it. So that's why don't worry about how much effort you need to put in, and then whether you can get the money right away. To me, those things will come automatically if you have a good solution. You're going to have clients. Like when I finished that $25K project, and then a couple months after that, then there's a neighboring county. They just call me, say, hey, I heard Oakland County has this database, and I want to use it. So then I sold it to them, and then other counties heard about that, and then the regional MPO heard about that, and then some state DOT heard about that. It's just a word of mouth. Yeah. So I have not done any like a marketing push or anything. It's just by word of mouth, and then people learn, oh, there's a unique application that you can use. So that's how it started out.
At what point did you realize, okay, this is really going to become a thing, and this will be my future?
Yeah, I think like as I got more clients, and then I noticed that I need to have some kind of economy of scale. I cannot drive to every agency. It's like I have a DOT client out of state. I cannot just because of one small problem they have with the software, I have to fly out to solve the problem. So that's why at that moment I said I need to make it a web-based. So in that way, I don't need to install anything on their computer. Because as soon as you install anything on people's computer, they will have some different setup, and then we'll have a lot of problems. So that's why we make a web-based, and then everything become much easier. So that's why I look at it as economic scale, because with a web-based, you can go out to hundreds of clients. So because if you need to go to every office to support hundreds of clients, and that's a lot of effort, it's not sustainable.
So what do you see and hope for the future of MS2?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that MS2 will continue to grow, because right now we are on a very like a significant growth path. So it's kind of snowball event. The more clients are using our software, the more DOTs are using our software, and then it's easier for us to show the prospects that, hey, this is a proven solution. It's not something that started yesterday.
Yeah.
It has been proven, it has been validated. So that's why a lot of DOT sees us that, hey, this is the solution that's very mature, and then it's supported by a lot of users. Because when we have a lot of users, then we have a lot more resources to invest in this software, to continue to grow the software. Because if you don't have many users, you don't have resources. So that's the advantage of us, that keep investing in the software, make it better and better. So it's like a snowball event. That it's much easier.
Yeah, because it's proven, it's trusted,
Right.
It's been around a long time, but you still have to innovate.
Absolutely, yeah, because the computer technology like advance every day, and then like I said, now we have the AI, so that's why we have to invest in the AI, incorporate a lot of AI and machine learning into our software to make it more modern, more useful. Yeah, so you have to continuously improve the software, otherwise it becomes stale, and then people will walk away. They will see a better solution.
In today's day and age, are there certain metrics that federal government wants that different DOTs, agencies just aren't able to supply?
I think right now the main challenge for a lot of agencies is really about 100% coverage of the AADT on every road network segment. Right? That's the main challenge for them, because it's a mandate for them to do so, but they don't have enough data to report that. So that's why everybody's working on that, and then people come up with all sort of solutions. So there's the pros and cons. So that's why MS2 is also working on that for our clients, how to come up with a good metric to report AADT based on sample locations. So I think this is probably the most significant challenges right now for all agencies, but they have to do so because it's a federal mandate. They have to report. So
when you're talking sampling data, is that using like mobile count stations or something like that?
Yes. So for a DOT traffic monitoring program, they typically have maybe 100 or so permanent count stations installed throughout the state. And then they would have maybe 20,000 or 30,000 short count locations that only collect data 24 hours in a year. So they rotate those locations throughout the state. So, but still, it's not the full coverage of your road network. Typically, a state DOT may have like 500,000 road segment, right? You have 500,000 road segment, you only collect 300 permanent count locations and 20,000 out of 500,000 segments.
Yeah.
So if you have an infinite budget, you can go out count 500,000, but nobody can do so. So that's why, how do you use 20,000 count location to estimate 500,000 road segments? So that's a big, like a modeling effort that we need to do to come up with that estimate.
So sampling and modeling, will that satisfy the mandate?
Yes. I think the federal guideline is really use your best judgment, right? Use your best capability, effort to report that. So every agency needs to do so.
Yeah, so you look back to the days when you first started. Was it a thing where you started in your basement, or how did the company grow?
Yeah, so I mentioned about the first proposal I wrote. So I was an engineer in a consulting firm, so just an engineer. So I was doing like a stormwater design, like a traffic engineering impact study, and try to organize some of the main street traffic pattern, etc. So I worked on the traffic engineering side. So when I saw an RFP about the traffic count database, so I wrote a proposal. So at the moment, I was just a single person in a company who worked on that project. And then later on, I moved to another consulting firm. So, and then because it's just myself, so when I moved away, and then that company could not support the software. So that's why they asked me, hey, it's your baby. Do you want to buy the copyright of the software? I said, sure, because I wrote it. So I purchased that copyright of the software I wrote. Because when you work for a company, everything you produce is the company's copyright. So
that was a smart decision you made.
Oh, they sold it to me like a $16K.
Wow.
So $16K, I got the whole thing, and then imagine now, generate millions of dollars of revenue every year. So there's like $16K investment at that time. It's amazing. So now we have about like 30 people. So mainly like software engineers, and then some SME, like traffic engineers, and then and plus sales and marketing, etc. So we are pretty lean company. Even though we support so many state DOTs and so many road agencies, we are very lean. And then we have not lost in any year. So we have been profitable all these years. So it's kind of a bootstrap company. And that's why it's kind of a mature startup, like a 20-year-old startup. So because we have no outside investment, like when we grow our software, everything is from our clients. Because if a DOT say, I need this new feature, and then they will pay for it, and then we develop it, and that feature will be available to all users. So it's kind of a shared solution for the whole community. So each DOT will chip in with the new features, they will sponsor it, and then every client will benefit from it. So that's why a lot of agencies sees the benefit. That's why I talk about when you have a larger user base, then you can have a sustainable solution, because people keep paying in to the solution, and you continuously improve it, and then it will keep being innovated, and then now it becomes sustainable.
So you never imagined this all would happen.
Right.
Looking back 30 years. What does leadership mean to you? Because now you're leading this big team of people.
Yeah, I think to me it's always by like a work the way I want everybody work. So that's why I always dedicate all my effort to the company. So I always try to set up an example for the people around me. Say, hey, this is the company that has a future, that we all should contribute to the growth of the company together. So we have a lot of good team members around us. So they all like have the same vision, that how MS2 will be in the future. We are serving our government agencies, provide them a useful tool to process and manage the data.
So lead by example.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I would think that you could probably be retired by now if you wanted to, but
absolutely,
you're working hard.
Right. So to me, when something is meaningful, and then you can see that you're making an impact to the community. So to me, it's not a job anymore. It's really fun to work in this area. So yeah, if I treat it as a job, I would have retired already. But it's fun, and it's something that I can see that we can make big impacts, and then serving the community, serving this industry. So yeah, I get up every day and get excited every day.
Yeah, you're having fun. Mm-hmm. You're passionate about it.
Right.
And I'm glad you got that $25K RFP.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and bought the copyright.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Ben Chen.
Nice talking with you.
Founder of MS2. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time on the Pulse Podcast from Wavetronics.